Okay, so I guess today we'll be doing the practical, moreover, or the practical demonstration of the AWS services. Okay, so today we'll be seeing around the services like EC2, Lambda, and other services I will be explaining through. And the next session we'll be seeing the practical as well. Okay, so let me just switch to my tab. Okay, so this is how your AWS console shall look like. Just a moment. Has everyone created AWS account? Let me just set up a poll. Everyone off a poll? I guess so. Most of them are already created, so you'll be able to understand all this. Okay, so this is the AWS console home, and you are seeing multiple widgets over this. You are able to see the recently visited services, then you have applications, you have other cost and usage. So few of the things to worry about before moving anything is cost. Everything you do in cloud, anything you do in cloud does cost you something or nothing. So either it's on free trial or it just costs you something. So every action you take in the cloud uh, shall be verified first, and then only you do. And you need to verify if there is any cost incurred with that service included or not. How much is the free trial? How much will be charged? Okay, because cloud is very expensive thing, and you need to be very much sure about this. So this is my AWS console. If you see, like my current month is $103 charge. Sometimes it can go up to 124 for this month. So this is how it's been shown. I can just go into the billing and cost management, and it would give me a complete detailed analytics of what is being costing to me, and that's how I can understand based on the services or what does it cost me. So if you see the cost breakdown for my June services, services, we have Amazon Elastic Compute EC2 basically, which is costing me around $58. Then for VPC, it is costing me $17. For S3, it's costing me around $17. Then EC2 for some other services like volumes and something else, that is costing me $10. For Amazon SES, it's costing me $0.16, right? So everything is being displayed here that what are the cost I'm getting, and if you want, you can analyze those, and if you see any unwanted services being computed, you can suspend those and you can reduce the cost, right? So there's the most of the part. Now, there are multiple things here as well, like Cost Explorer, and then you have cost services. You can also check the free tier. So if you see like this is the cost or usage, whatever we are doing right now, right? In the May, my cost was something around for S3 it was $165 because I have 1 terabyte of data something in S3. So of course it charges me a lot. Then in free tier, you'll be able to find what other services you have and how much you have utilized them, right? So if you see for Amazon says we have 3,000 count for free for 12 months free tier. So where we have used 446. Similar way, we have multiple free tier and you can track those things. How much free tier that it is in use, and how much you have used so far. So these are the services in the billing and cost management, and you will be getting a detailed overview about the billing. So whatever services you use, you must be verified everything, that how much pricing it's going to cost you, and uh, is it there in the free trial or not. The most of thing we'll be discussing in the session or throughout the course will be including the free tier only. Okay. So now let's see with the services. What are the top popular services you need to use? Just give me a moment. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for this. Okay, so what are the services you would be using in AWS? The popular services which are S3, which is called for object storage. So you would have used like Google Drive or Dropbox, something similar, right? So when you work with lots of data for your SaaS applications, you generally use S3 or an S3 compatible storage for other providers as well. So like in AWS we have S3, in Cloudflare we have Cloudflare R2. Same with we have in GCP object storage as well. Okay. Then we have EC2, which is for compute. Basically, if you see most of the advertisers tell you about the virtual machine, like the private servers, like this their market. The same thing is EC2. It is for the compute. You can write a server, maybe like with your own configuration, maybe like 2 GB RAM if you need, or 2 GB CPU you need. So you can customize those, and you'll be able to run those. So you have EC2, then EC2 also combines with the Elastic IP. So you can get a static IP address for your virtual machine. Because if you generally just spin a EC2 instance, and if you just reboot or it just restarts or sometime or shut down or something happens, so IP changes in the scenario. So that doesn't work great for if you have it in public website. So in that case, you need to wire it up with Elastic IP. It means your instance will be replaced with an static IP address, and then you can use it for public websites. Okay. So S3 is for object storage, storing all your files, data, and anything. Then you have EC2 for compute, and then you can attach with Elastic IP. Then you have SES. SES is the most popular service maybe used by the entire SaaS applications. Like 95% of those who are into SaaS application business, they use SES for sending emails. So, like if you had ever seen like newsletters or OTP emails or maybe newsletters, right? All called basically transactional emails. You can send it through Amazon Says. So why says basically they give you high throughput. Basically, you can send around 50,000 emails per day, and that to like 14 emails per second. So you have a high throughput with the AWS, while any other provider doesn't give you this much reliability. Okay, and also in AWS you have multi-tenancy, multi-domain identity, and everything. I will just show you about that as well. Okay. So SES is for sending emails. Then what are the services? Let me just check. Okay. Then you have database, which is RDS. Then you have database if you want. That includes either MySQL if you want to spin up MySQL or Postgres or any other database if you want to spin up an instance. That is also available in the RDS. Then even Amazon has its own database that's called DynamoDB. If you want to know or like NoSQL in database, in that case you can prefer DynamoDB, or I guess there is MongoDB as well for document based, right? So S3 is for object storage, EC2 is for the compute and elastic IPs, SES is for sending emails, RDS you can use for any relational databases like MySQL, Postgres, or something. And then AWS has its own database which is called DynamoDB. Then you have like IAM. So once you grow into a large scale organizations, you would be preferring to manage your users, departments like this, right? Maybe suppose that you have around 200 plus employee organization. So how you can provide them the access to this AWS infrastructure. So there it comes, we're managing IAM, which is called identity access management. Okay, there they can create department, maybe like if there is an some sales or something, or maybe like marketing head, something, right? So in that case, they only need S3 maybe. Then there is some DevOps team who need to deploy things, right? So in that case, they would need like EC2, they would need Lambda, right? So you can create multiple departments, then you can attach policies, permissions basically based on the departments. Then you can add your users to either department, or you can directly add these policies to the particular user as well. So you will be able to manage the permissions based on either read only or administrator access, or whatever kind of policies you want to refine within the dashboard. And that's possible through the IAM, right? So we'll be discussing all these five services and these things in the today session. We have much more things to explain that we'll be seeing in the later session as well. Okay. So first of all, let's go with the S3. Once you click on the S3, you would see the multiple buckets, how general purposes buckets, all these bucket names, right? So when the bucket was created and what's the bucket name, if you want to create a bucket, you can click on create a bucket, and then you have either it's a general purpose or you want a directory basically. So currently now they provide two types of the general purpose and directory. I will be showing you the use cases as well later on. Okay. Then you have the global namespace. You can define the bucket name for this. Then if you want to provide the settings from the any existing, then you can just choose that bucket, and the permissions you can copy from the existing bucket, right? Then we have the object ownership, either you want to disable or enable. Based on that, you can recommend. If you want your S3 to directly accessible to public, then you can just turn it off and your bucket will be publicly accessible. Means they can directly enter your path for the file name and it will be accessible. If you not want that, you want that you can only provide URL specifically for an object. In that case, you can just click on block all public access and you will be able to generate URL from your backend, and then only the data would be visible. Okay. So this is the public access. You can block all public access. Then you can enable bucket versioning. What does it mean in versioning? By name itself, you can understand. Suppose that you uploaded a file name file.txt. Okay. Now suppose that you need to replace that file. So either you want to keep that old version, or if you want to upload directly to the mainstream. So once you re-upload a file to same destination file.txt, new one will be uploaded. New one is in main, and we have the old version as well. Old file is now version. So now you can keep track basically which files was replaced, which file was a new file. So it helps on the tracking part. So bucket versioning, you can enable most of the time. That is a beneficial thing. Then encryption, you can just keep with the server-side encryption, similar, right? Then advanced setting, nothing has to be done as of now. Then once you create the bucket, you would see something like this, right? So if you see in the buckets, we have this. You can check the directories. You can upload. One more thing, if you add, so in AWS S3, there is no directories as of earlier. It was in there, but now it's there. But the use case is different. Okay. So in like your local folder, you would be seeing that there is volume first of all, like local disk C, D, E, F, right? And then you have folders, subfolders, files, right? So it doesn't work same in S3. Basically, every files you upload directly goes in the bucket. So either if I upload file.txt and then I upload file.2.txt, it's directly available in the bucket. If I want to create an some kind of directory, virtual directory, so what I will do, I can do like folder, and then I'll upload in this destination. So in the URL, it shall give me same URL structure, but at the end it's still in the same storage level. But they give you an option basically S3 that you can check it as an directory. So they just split this path as an directory, nothing else. So it is easy to view and nothing else. So this is like a folder, and then you have all those objects here, right? So this is how it works in the S3 buckets. So let me just create a new bucket and let me show you about this. Okay, block all public access, bucket version enable, create bucket. What's the response bucket name is not available. So it must be something unique. Let me just try something. So now we have a bucket called AWS session S3 H2026. Now I can just create any, upload any files maybe. Uh, Let me just upload a file. Click on upload. Now we have a file here, right? So this is in the file which we uploaded in our S3. This is the S3 URI internally. If you want to use with S3 SDK or something, you can use directly this resource. Or for the URL, you can use this URL. As I told you earlier, that it will be access denied directly because we have blocked all public access, right? So the public URL is not directly available. We need a pre-signed URL. Pre-signed URL is done via backend, and then only you will be able to access those on your file, basically. So even this URL yeah, is find out by any of the people, they won't be able to view your file unless it's signed by a SDK or something, your backend basically, right? I guess if they do provide pre-signed URL from here, object share with a pre-signed URL basically. So if I just copy and provide a 5 minutes expiry, so now I have a pre-signed URL, and now I'm able to view that file, right? So now you see what's the difference between these two URLs and direct URL. So if you have basically a pre-signed URL, we have something called this response content, what we have, then we have a signature payload, right? So this is a security token, means it has an expiry validity. So if this is correct signature and correct URL, pre-signed URL basically, then only it is valid to view the file. And as we see that we added 5 minutes of the timeline for expiry. So this URL is only valid for 5 minutes. Okay. After 5 minutes, this URL won't work. And if you needed a public public object storage, so in the settings as well, you can just turn it off, and it would be directly visible under this URL. So if user can also view any other files if they want. So it's better always to, of course, disable that public access and always use a pre-signed URL. So that's how this S3 works. Okay, one more thing. What programming language you would like to use? Maybe like in the coming session, we'll have to use a programming language. We would prefer to use Node.js, of course. That's the most easy way to learn something backend. We'll be using Node.js to set up some of this code base. We'll be writing some API routes or something to test it on EC2 and Lambda. So I would suggest you to install Node.js. You can install this Node.js, right? We'll be writing some of the server-side code, and we'll try to deploy it on EC2, Lambda, and other services. We'll be also seeing to see how we can utilize S3 and most of the other services, right? We'll try to use that. We'll try to deploy an app. We'll try to deploy something, a application which would send an email using SES. We'll try deploying API on EC2 and Lambda. Then we'll also utilize S3 as file manager, something we'll create, right? So we'll say few of the things. We'll create some backend stuff, and we'll utilize all these AWS services on those, so that you have a better understanding how backend works, how it get deployed on the production, how you need to map all those domains, manage IPs, everything, right? So for S3, we understood how it is done, right? Let me just create a poll. Is S3 clear? Everyone out for poll. everyone opt for coal. Only one person have uh, opted. I guess most of you like just join the class and leave it as it is. No one is interactive in class. I guess in that case, the recorded lecture would be much better for you all. Okay, no worries. I'll have to complete the session anyways. Okay. So for S3, we had already seen how to create a bucket, how to upload the files, and how pre-signed URL works, right? So this is the main use case of S3 to manage all those files and nothing else. We'll be seeing by creating a backend and utilize S3 for that. Now we have EC2. Let me just create an EC2 instance. Click on EC2, then you have multiple things in navigation like instance, instant type, launch templates. You have like other thing AMIs, you have volume, snapshot, elastic IP, right? So you have multiple things. You can click on instances. Currently, if you see, I have almost like four instances running right now. Okay, so I can click on launch instance. You can name it according to your. This shall be unique for your own account. Like S3, it shall be unique on the global level, but in EC2, it shall be unique on the your own level, uh, your own account. Okay. Now you can choose what application or OS image you want to have for your server. You can use Amazon Linux, you can use Mac OS, or you want Ubuntu or Windows or any other, right? So mostly we prefer Ubuntu or Amazon Linux. Now in this AMI, of course, you have to see you what image you want. Then you have instance type. Now, if you see, you have a free tier eligibility with T3 micro and T2 small, I guess. Yes, T3 micro and T3 small. These are to the free tier eligible. So you are getting two vCPU, 2 GB memory, here two vCPU and 1 GB memory. These are the free tier eligibility, and other are paid. So all of these configurations are paid. So you can opt for either T3 micro or T3 small. So I'll just keep it to T3 micro. Then you need a key pair login for what's this? Just understand as in real world example about you have a home something. Then you have a lock and key. Either it's a home, either it's your phone. You have a password protected, right? If you have a phone, you may be having either a fingerprint lock or either a pattern or something. For home, you usually have a key. So you need to have some kind of protection that you only have the ownership for that. For home, if you have the key, then only you are able to enter. If you have your own phone and you only know the fingerprint or the password, then only you are able to unlock the phone. If that gets exposed to anyone else can log in. So it's your own duty to manage all those and have this secure, right? If your house keys get lost and someone else found, and they can easily unlock your house, so it's better your duty to protect your house. So same way in EC2, you have a key pair thing. You can click on create new pair, you can name it like this, and then click on create key pair, and it will download an file .pm file. So this .pm file will be used to log into the server. Okay. So now we have added our name for the instance. We had opt for Ubuntu system. Then we had selected the instance type T3 micro, which is pretty eligible. You can also choose for T3 small if you want, which is 2 GB CPU and 2 GB memory. Then, if you want to have this as traffic, just take this to always on. If you have an static IP with your broadband, then of course you can whitelist your own IP, but most of them do not have. So for now, you can just allow access from anywhere. Else, it is suggested that you go with an VPN or something which has an static IP. Okay. For now, I will just keep it on. If you are deploying some kind of REST API or something, then we'll also have to enable HTTPS. But for now, I'll just keep to SSH. Okay. Then how much storage you want basically. So either you want general purpose storage or something. So by default, they give you 8 GB, which mostly consists of the 5H and something. So for now, I guess 8 GB is fine because nothing we are doing right now. In the advanced details, I guess nothing is to see for now. These are the extra things if you want to look after, but this is not necessary. Okay. Now, here you are saying free tier. In your first year of opening AWS account, you get 750 hours per month of T2 micro instance or T3 micro, where T2 micro isn't available when used with free tier AMIs, right? So for the 1 year, you are getting free tier. Sorry. Other than that, you will be charged for that. Now, for right now, I can just click on launch instance. Okay. Now my instance has been created, and I am able to see the instance, which is AWS session, right? Now, if you see, this is public IPv4 address. This is my private IPv4 address. This is my instance type. O2 assigned IP address is this one, public IP, right? So if my this instance gets a reboot or something, this IP may get changed. Okay. So if I want that this IP is fixed for my instance, in that case, I'll have to go with this elastic IP. Click on allocate elastic IP, and then we can simply click on allocate. Okay, the maximum number of addresses has been already reached. So in my account, I guess already the limit has been reached uh, for elastic IP. I guess this is the one which isn't utilized yet. So maybe I can use that. Okay. So this is the IP which is not has been associated yet. I can click on associate. I can choose the instance and click on private IP. Click on associate. Right. Once I associate this to instance, now if you see associated instance ID, and if I open, this is the instance. And now the public IP will be outer side IP is now null, and my public IPv4 has been changed. Right. So this is how you can allocate a static IP to your instance, and that gets fixed basically. Now, even though like my server gets restart or does anything or crash or anything happens, my IP won't get changed. So this is the beneficial for when you are having a publicly like website or API or something you want to deploy on your server. In that case, this elastic IP is much needed. Okay. Now in this details section, if you find, you will be seeing AMI ID, which AMI you have installed, like Ubuntu or any other custom AMI you have there. Then what is the platform? It is like Linux. Then we have stop protection. If you want that this doesn't get a stop, you can set those in settings as well. Okay. Then in status and alarms, you can find all these logs. If there is any crash report or something, you can check the status of your instance. Is it healthy or not? Is there any load? you can do that. In monitoring, you will be able to find all those things, like how much CPU percent has been utilized, how much network data is transferred. I guess I have an instance running one of those, which I can show you. In this, I may have enough data to show. Okay. If you see, there is a constant running of 3%, which means it is idle for the most of the time currently. Then there is a network byte response, how much a network had been utilized. Most of the time, it is currently idle. That's why it's in the same phase. And once it starts getting used, basically, my a worker is being running in this server. So once it starts running, in that case, it will jump something. Okay. Then in security, you can find all the security groups, what has been there, how, which is export. So only TCP protocol is allowed in this server. No SSH is allowed currently. Sorry, no HTTPS is allowed in the scenario. Currently, only TCP protocol is allowed. Basically, I have added nothing in this case. In networking, you will be able to find all those network details regarding to your instance. Okay. Then in storage, you will be able to find how much volume you have assigned. Like for this case, I have assigned 15 gigabytes of the volumes. In when we created an instance, in that case, there was 8 GB of default, right? So in this instance, when I had created, I needed some more. So in that case, I had created 15 gigabytes of volume. If you see there is a read latency, write latency, how much, what the read throughput, write throughput, everything. So all those analytics are there. Now, how do you connect to your instance? And so once you click on connect, you have multiple options here. Either you can connect to your instance directly from the browser itself. So there is EC2 instance connect. Once you click on connect, it will open a new tab and you will be logged into your EC2 instance. So if you see, I am in this currently instance AWS session which we created. This is the public IP, this is the private IP. And this is the easiest way to connect to your instance. You can simply use AWS console to log into your instance. The other way is the SSH. You can click on connect. We can click on SSH client. And then now, first of all, if you see, we had downloaded this AWS session ec2.pm. Basically, we created login pair, key pair, basically, while setting up the instance, right? So once you are there, you need to go into the terminal and you need to update the permission. I guess in the Linux session, I had told about you this, right? About changing the permissions, like we did with the 755 permissions. Same way here, currently we need to execute chmod 400 AWS session EC2. Basically, we're authorizing the system user to access this SSH. For if you have Windows system, there's a different process for that. You can check out, I think, in the website. I'll just check those, and if there is any tutorial, I'll share that. Okay. So let me zoom in a bit. Now I need to move to downloads. CD. I guess where is it in download? Terminal ls CD downloads. Right here we have the PM file. Okay, so now we can execute this. Clear, copy this command, and now we have updated the permission for the PM file, and now we will be able to log into our server. So once I copy this command and execute, it will ask that do you want to continue? I click on yes. Now it added the host, and now you see I am logged into my system. So same thing, you see the IP here, thing is now here. So you have two options. You can either connect via your browser or you are connected to your SSH. If you have the PM file, of course, prefer the SSH client that's in your own terminal. Browser one is a bit different working. The terminal will give you a much better experience, right? So now you can run your own code here. There is no files. I can set up folders maybe here. And now if I do search, we have a folder here, right? And then same thing, if you want to upload some files, you can deploy all those files in your server and you can run those. So that's the use case of the EC2 basically. You're able to rent a server and then you can deploy some of the applications there, right? So this is how to set up an EC2, and we also saw about S3 as well. So is it clear about the S3 and EC2, how to set up? This is currently just an practical basically about the setting up things for a real world project we'll be seeing in the further session. This is just to guide you through the AWS console. Is easy to clear. Now we'll be able to create EC2 instances by yourself and you'll be able to log in via SSH or EC2 Connect, right? So now we have seen EC2 and S3. Now we have RDS. Okay, one more thing. If there is any unused instances, just uh, you can delete those as well. Like I will terminate this instance because it might cost me a lot. I'll just click on instance state and terminate. So it will now get deleted because I do not need this server for now. So I'll just delete that. Okay. So now let's go with Amazon RDS, Aurora and RDS. So now you have these databases things in RDS. Now once you click on create database, you have all those options basically. So there are multiple things. Either you have MySQL, Postgres. Basically, AWS has their own Aurora thing, and that's compatible with MySQL and Postgres. But if you want the main Postgres and MySQL, not the compatible version of AWS, because they are the most vendor locking things. So instead, go with this what's publicly available. So like you can click on Postgres, SQL, then you have complete options what you want and how you want to set up all this. So either you can go with full configuration or like easy create. Then you have this configuration size. Either you want to go with free tier, which is 2 CPU, 1 GB RAM, 20 gigabytes of storage, right? Or you want to go with all this other things, right? Then you have the username, how you want to manage credentials. So you want to manage credentials via AWS Secret Manager, or you want to have your own. So then you can hide your own master password here. Then if you want to connect with your EC2 instance for that, then you can set up all those EC2 instance connect as well. Then if you want some of the settings, you can see all those here. What are the encryption, VPC, all the subnet, everything you're able to find here. And if you want to have a full configuration mode, then you can find out all here. Like in templates, either which format you want. Then what is the multiple ability zone? So let me just explain about this. In AWS, you have ability zone. So maybe like if there you working in the Mumbai server itself, so they have multiple zones in Mumbai itself. So suppose that if something happens to one server, they have another server in the same location, which will have your the copy of the same thing, and it will serve from that. So you have multiple availability zone as well options here. So if you see, you have AZ1, the primary instance SSD, and you have the other availability zones as well, right? You have the multi AZDB cluster deployment, three instance. Here will be two instance, like one primary and the other is standby, and in this it will be only single instance. So you have multiple options here based on the uptime guarantee. Right. So based on that, there is also the cost incurrence for this as well. Then you can define the Postgres version what you do want. Like currently it's Postgres 18. The last version we are using was Postgres 16 and 17. Okay. Then if you want, I enable RDS extended support. That's their own migration support and other options. You'll have to find out. Then you're gonna of course the same thing. You have the username, then password. You want to set up all those things. Then you have this instance configuration, which format you want, or the instance type, like 2 vCPU, 8 GB RAM, or whatever the configuration you want. You will have to of course check the pricing before anything you want to set up, right? So this how you can set up the Postgres database or something database. You need to select uh, first of all zone, how much ability zones you want, what configurations you want, configurations, then what instance you want, if you want to connect with the EC2 instance or not. Then there is networking, then you have the credentials, right? So once everything you set up according to your need, then you can get it. Like the current instance selected what we have seen so far, that would cost me around $1,477. So that's a lot, of course, because there is a provision IOPS and the storage and everything, which would cost me a lot. But if I just go the easy create and maybe like production dev and test format, so it would cost me something less, right? So you can decide based on that what configurations you want or not. So databases are that, and like you are of course a student, and if you want to work with some kind of a database, I would refer you to use Neon, especially for databases. So if you want some kind of Postgres database you want to run, then you can simply use Neon. They have a free tier basically, and you can get up to 100 databases free of cost, and that is 100 CPU hourly monthly project. So you would get enough things to start on. So for database, I would suggest you to use Neon. Even myself, I use Neon for my personal projects. Okay, because AWS works when you are in a good standing, of course, because it's cost effective and even they provide the uptime guarantee. That's the specific thing where AWS ranks in their use case. Okay, so we have seen S3, we have seen EC2, and we have seen RDS. Now we have SES. Now we have these identities, so you can include multiple domains. And you can see the verification status for those is it verified or not. Then you can also manage tenants. Yeah, with my tenants. If you want a dedicated IP, you can also use that dedicated IP. Yeah, if you need to validate some of the email address, if is it correct or not, like you can just check abc at the rate google.com. Is it valid or not? So if you see overall validity confidence, that's low. But if I share my own email and try to validate, you see it is a high derivative, right? So you can use this to validate email addresses if it is valid or not. You have some of these auto validation settings before sending an email, so you can set up all those things. You can manage email templates. You can also set up access for email receiving as well. Okay, so these are the things in AWS as well. You get a package for Node.js or any other. There you will be able to send those emails through SES. Also, you can set up an SMTP. If you do not want to use SES a package for sending emails, you can use a SES SMTP. And for that SMTP configuration, you can wire it up with Node Mailer, and then you can send email with Node Mailer via SMTP. So you have both options there, and you can also set up email receiving in the Amazon says. Suppose that if you want to create some kind of helpless or something, or if you want to set up some bill management or something, in that case you can create an email address here. You can create a rule set, and once you forward any emails to that particular address, it shall be visible in the SES. So you have email receiving, you have the suppression list as well, which of the emails which are not verified. In that case, it comes here. Like you can see the suppression reason, what's the suppression reason. So it's getting bounced. In that case, this is the reason. Right. I guess that's the Amazon says. And what else is there? I guess yes, DynamoDB. So if you see, we have this DynamoDB, which is managed NoSQL database. Let me just make it clear first of all. There are two types of database. Oh, sorry. There are two different types of database, which is SQL database and the other is NoSQL database. Okay. So SQL is basically relational databases like MySQL, Postgres. These are the SQL databases, and NoSQL you have like MongoDB or like DynamoDB, right? So these are the NoSQL databases. These are the SQL database. What are the difference between SQL and non-SQL? So in SQL databases, you need to define a schema and types. So in schema, what happens? So suppose that you have a table. Let me have an address table. So it will define that there will be address line one, which shall be an string. Then there shall be a pin code, which shall be a number, right? So you need to define everything, and outside this you won't be able to store any extra data, right? So that's the case for the data. Let me just show you if I guess there's some data. Okay, I do not have one now. So in the schema, basically you will define every type of data you want to store. It's more over like an spreadsheet or an Excel data, you can see. So you have a table which has rows as in data, columns are the types of data you want to store, right? But in NoSQL databases, you do not have to define anything. You can simply start storing data. Maybe like one data. Here is tables. Here is documents, basically objects. So in one row or one document, it can have five values. five columns or something respective to table, and the other can have like six values. Other document can have, right? So it's not fixed to have an schema here. So that's why SQL is an schema-based language, and when NoSQL doesn't needs to store any schema, you can simply start storing data whatever format you want. So sorry. So in that case, DynamoDB is one of those AWS product. So either if you want to move into this or not, it's your choice. Because don't try to get vendor logged in with the database things at first place. Okay, so you have the managed NoSQL databases by AWS. Then you have this document DB, which is compatible with the MongoDB database, which I explained here, right? This MongoDB and DynamoDB. So document DB, you can use this for the compatible of MongoDB. So these are the services which we saw. I guess more than this, it would be much better if I just build a project and then show you, because I guess the setup thing I have already discussed till now. I guess then for this session we'll have to keep this short for 1 hour only. In the next session, we'll be seeing about setting up a project, and we'll build an API using Express and Node.js. We'll also build something to send emails. We'll use file upload. Okay, we'll see all these three things, and we'll try to utilize S3, SES, and also set up some of the projects and deploy in EC2. Okay. If you do not want to use AWS console and want to test it out, I guess now we have in Docker as well. In Docker AWS. I will just see, because there is some kind of an alternative to AWS within the Docker image, where we can test everything locally instead of getting charged on the production. Okay, so we'll see those as well. We'll keep this short for now. In the next session, we'll be building the project. That will take some time, of course. I'll have to research few things. Okay, is there any doubt you can ask? If is there any doubt, you can ask. Is it clear till now? Whatever we I just show you. There is no doubt. Is there any doubt? Okay, then everything is clear. Then in next session, I want everyone to have Node.js installed, and we'll be building a project then, and we'll try to deploy in EC2. Okay then. Uh, I guess that's it then. Thank you everyone.